not many people actually...
Could you say who you are?
Oh, sorry. I'm Hani Al-Sayed. I'm Iraqi. I live in this country. I have been oppressed by the Saudis, and they wanted to kill me twice, but I survived. But I tell you, I'm going to die of cancer, not by the Saudis. I tell you, I'm really very, very happy to see history actually repeating itself in this country. Once Robert Peel said, I put the right in the right place for the people. And Lord Ahmed, last month, I asked him to help with removing Blair from being president. And now, what I said, actually, I was sitting with the bus and said, all right-thinking people, owe a debt of gratitude to our chairman, Lord Ahmed, because he was instrumental to block Blair. Thank
you so much.
To block Blair tendency of Europe to be president of Europe. Therefore, I really wish all of you to congratulate him and congratulate Britain.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Had it not been praised for me, I would have cut you off. But thank you so much.
May I make my contribution? It's only less than a minute.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want really to know about you because I haven't read about anything about you. Thank God for that. But I know Michael a lot because I'm, in a way, a colleague of one of your members there. What's if you think Saudi Arabia as a great country or great, of course you have to do so because you make with Al Sana only one person, Al Sana, you make 8 billion deal with them, and the second one Al Qusaydi, which is 6 billion deal with them. I only want to say
thank you. I didn't know this issue. Thank you, sir.
No, at all.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Can I just take a comment from that? Your question, please.
My name is Jerry German. I'm from a group called the Communities Empowerment Network. We provide advice, support and representation for people who are generally oppressed, particularly in education. We're very much concerned with something that hasn't been mentioned this evening, namely Islamophobia. And when I'm concerned with Islamophobia, I also need to know about Islam, and I need to know about places like Saudi Arabia and elsewhere. And I'm very, very grateful to our sisters this evening for giving us a very great insight into it. Obviously, people would speak from what serves them, but I think you've spoken and shown the way forward. What I would like to ask is this: to what extent are we able to deal with Islam in a way that is sensible and fair? For example, what about practice of religion, which is a fundamental human right, in Saudi? You mentioned Switzerland, but we haven't mentioned the absence of churches, Gurdwara and other places in Saudi Arabia. How can we have a fair debate which actually addresses the tendency of this part of the West and the other part of the West to go way back to the Crusades in how it portrays Islam?
Thank you, sir. Madame.
Well, Islamophobia, I'm glad you mentioned that. Saudi Arabia is the country of Islamophobia. Before the Runnymede Trust invented the term here to discuss British media's position on issues Muslim, the Saudi state, since its creation in 1952, had fought Muslims first. And I don't mean Shia or Ismailis, Sunnis. Their discrimination against Sunnis, against Egyptian pilgrims who came to Saudi Arabia just because they brought with them drums, just because they chanted, that was forbidden, prohibited, because it is not Islam. So I don't want to go and discuss how they treat other Muslims, Shia, Sunni, Ismailis, or others. But the practice of religion in Saudi Arabia is guided by what the state decides is the appropriate thing. And the religious scholars, who are very subservient to the state, have been encouraged to put their own interpretation of how to practice, even how to stand while you're praying. And if you stood in a mosque in a different way, you were more likely to be told off. So let's not go that far and talk about churches. Let's talk about the Muslims who live in Saudi Arabia and who are not allowed to practice. Omanis Ibadis who go to Saudi Arabia on the pilgrimage and come back with stories about discrimination and unacceptance of their tradition.
Thank you, sir. Just from my own knowledge, during the Prophet, peace be upon him, his days, and long after that, all religions were, and all religious communities were allowed to practice their religion and have their places of worship. That's my knowledge, and if there's anybody else who can differ from it, I'd be very happy. Sorry, Robert.
Well, it was very nice to hear some actual facts from someone up to date who's been in Saudi Arabia and whose researchers have been in Saudi Arabia. With the greatest respect to our two sisters here, I don't know when either of them were last in Saudi
Because
Arabia.
we're not allowed.
That is what you say.
Because we
Madam.
don't have Saudi passport. They've been confiscated.
Well, you should try now.
I
and
will
get
not. But Her Majesty's government doesn't protect me in Saudi Arabia because it's my country of origin. And this is the document I got when I was naturalized.
Can we just have, please, can I have, Madami, can I please, let me chair it. I shouted them down and I'm going to shout you down. Let Robert finish.
I wouldn't deny any of the things that you have said as being true in the past. But things are changing. 9/11 has, for better or worse, made an enormous change in Saudi Arabia, and many people have seen the many errors that you are talking about. I made a great point in researching my book for the last 3 years in investigating these stories of torture. You are quite right. British men who were thought to be involved after 9/11 in the bombs in Riyadh were tortured unmercifully. They've written books about it. But there are now, as the basic law says, there are rules about these things. It may sound facetious, but the young men I have interviewed who have been detained by the secret police, believe it or not, every midnight they go to be investigated and interrogated. And the first question is, have you been tortured today? Do you feel that you have been deprived of your rights under the Saudi constitution? After 6 months, you cannot keep anybody in jail for more than 6 months in Saudi Arabia without showing due cause. The thousands you are talking about, and Amnesty is talking about, are people rounded up immediately after 9/11 on suspicion of extremism. And if the Saudis have abrogated their human rights, we have done exactly the same in Guantanamo. Nobody knows yet how to deal with people suspected of extremism and respect their human rights in a Western way.
Yes.
I think we have to look at specific examples.
The gentleman there, sir. You'll get the opportunity to do it. Let's
My name
move
is
on.
Sakana Yonwako. I'm a writer. I want to ask a question. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the true women that actually have the statistics to back up their statements. I think being born a woman is not a disability. And being an educated woman shouldn't be a liability. I think time has come for people to realize the candle that caused the darkness. Fine. On 30th April, when Barack Obama was here, I was happened to live in the meeting, and I said something. I said, any idea that is not open for debate is not worthy to live. Islam, Iran, is it in Iran, Libya, Tehran, Saudi Arabia, actually is a religion that suppresses women. My mother is a woman, my sister is a woman. And I happen to come from Nigeria, where they stone women to death. Still flog them, then for going to seek sexual gratification outside. Firstly, I don't think a religion that allows a man to marry 2 women is right in the 21st century consciousness. And now let me go back. Our honorable MP, we were supposed to be the conscience of the early 21st century in this decade. But I happen to say, look like your microphone is going through. When people with facts are talking, you're trying to get the place.
Can we just sound it up? I think we are okay.
Are we here to face the realities and take account to the great people?
Thank you.
Or are we here to really,
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Can I please make a decision that we just ask questions now? No speeches, please. Can you just ask the questions? Questions only.
I want to
Just one
respond by
question.
saying that
Have you ever been?
your position makes it good efforts of people as a my dear professor and a doctor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have you
Thank
been
you,
to
sir.
Saudi Arabia? Have you been
Thank
to
you.
Saudi Arabia?
I take that as a contribution. The gentleman there and the lady at the back.